This time, Chair would like to recognize Councilman O.
Thank you very much, Council President. With your permission, I will introduce an amendment during the public meeting portion, but during the public hearing, I would like to address it and explain why I'm introducing the amendment.
Please do, Councilman.
Thank you very much. I am setting up some charts that I'll refer to, but I'm just going to read from a op-ed that I had wrote and distributed last night. There's good news for both sides of the soda tax debate, and for the rest of our citizens. There's enough money in the current proposed budget to fund the administration's new programs without raising taxes. That's because Philadelphia's budgeting process has historically included large sums of money parked in departments for future use without identifying the purposes for which they will be used. Regardless of whether people approve of how the money is ultimately spent, the problem is that they are not able to voice their opinion on how these funds should be spent, if they should be spent at all. Here's how it's done. Every year, Council approves requests to fund city departments. The administration budgets far more money for certain departments than it will actually allow them to spend. Later, the administration will request that the extra money be transferred and spent for some other purpose. The cycle repeats itself, and each year funds are over-allocated, excess funds are reallocated, and then they are spent for reasons not identified in the budget. That's why I'm introducing a budget amendment to stop this cycle and use the excess money to fund new programs without raising taxes. As of today, my staff has uncovered $180 million in likely disguised over-allocations in the proposed 2017 budget. $103 million of these tax dollars can be reallocated to fund new programs such as universal pre-K and parks and recreation infrastructure repairs. Otherwise, more money will be collected from citizens than is needed and used later for some purpose other than stated. My staff has calculated the average difference between budgeted and actual amounts of spending in each department over the past 7 years. We found that one office was allocated an average of 9% more than it spent over the past 7 years and transferred a total of $55 million over that time. Another office was allocated 72% more than it spent for material, supplies, and equipment in 2014 and 32% more than it spent in 2015. A commission was allocated $10 million or more than it spent every year over the past 7 years, which would be about $70 million in over-allocations. Finally, one line item in the budget was allocated a total of $66 million between 2014 and 2015, and none of those funds were spent for that purpose. By simply applying the 7-year percentage differential in spending to department requests each year, we can cut $180 million from the proposed $4.1 billion budget without reducing 1 penny of actual services and support. But in order to be cautious, I reduced the $180 million figure to approximately $103 million by evaluating budget items according to each department's pattern of spending. Some departments have demonstrated improved ability to manage their funding, and so I did not propose reducing their requested funding. On the other hand, I have proposed reducing budgeted allocations for departments that have not shown improvement in managing their funding, adjusting line items to a more realistic figure of what they will actually use. Why is $103 million out of $4.1 billion in the overall budget important to the citizens? Because extra programs, for example, $26 million for universal pre-K, $4.2 million for community schools, require extra money. And unless that money comes out of the existing budget, additional revenues is needed through borrowing, taxes, and fees. That means additional and unnecessary burdens are placed on our citizens. The over-allocated $103 million we've identified far surpasses the revenue projections for the first year of the administration's soda tax, which is $48 million, and Council's projections of the first year costs of pre-K, community schools, and rebuilding infrastructure, which is $60 million. In fact, if we save this money each year by budgeting and spending more efficiently, we would raise $515 million in the same amount of time that the administration would raise $432 million for pre-K and community infrastructure through the soda tax. We need good programs We should do our best to support the new administration whenever possible. But we also need jobs, opportunities, new investment, and better fiscal accountability from our government to our citizens. Otherwise, we'll end up with none of the above, but the citizens will pay the tab. If you want our city to move forward with universal pre-K, community schools, improvement in parks and recreation facilities, and rebuilt community infrastructure, your wish can come true. You don't have to believe that you need to pay extra for it. Let's get the city's budgeting in order before we resort to increasing taxes. Council President, I'd like to point to the two charts. They illustrate that $102.486 million in over-allocations could be reallocated from the budget for the programs. That's only 2% of the $4.1 billion proposed budget. And the next two charts will demonstrate, for example, one of the departments, which is the sinking fund. If you look at the blue, that is the amount of money that it has requested, or the amount of money that has been allocated to that fund. The red is the actual amount of money it spends. The red and the blue have no correlation. Money is put in there, money is spent from there. There's an excess over that time, I think 2009 to 2015, of about $53 million. That appears to me to be a department that holds money for other purposes. The problem is that city government operates in one-year terms and 5-year plans. When you look at that last chart, it will show you that the cigarette tax will sunset in 2019, and the proposed soda tax in red will provide a level of money in addition to the blue, which is the revenues that that is in accordance with the 5-year plan. We do not have a number for 22 and 23, 2022, 2023. But from testimony from the administration during the Nutter years and now under Kenny, the testimony has been that when the PICA wage tax sunsets in 2023, it's going to put a $350 million hole in the budget. So I've reduced the anticipated revenues by $350 million. When you compare that to what's on the right, that is the amount of obligations that the city has. The red on top of that is the school district debt. It doesn't add up altogether. Each year the debt grows until it is at $600 million in 2021. When you look at 2021, the school district is short $600 million, and we have typically and historically shouldered that burden because the state does not put in its fair share. We will probably have to do that again. When you look at 2023, on top of that $600 million, if that's not taken care of, there will be $350 million missing from our budget. So if you look at the year 2023 in terms of how much money we anticipate receiving and how much debt we're going to have, the debt far outweighs the revenues that we're going to receive. I believe that it would be wise of us to look at 2023 because that is the last year of the second term of the administration, and we'll lose continuity of possibly of the city officials that are looking at this issue. So with that, I would like to present a amendment to the budget that relies on money that is currently in the budget that is not allocated, I don't believe, for the purposes that they have been categorized. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman.